Hi, I'm Clayton Allen. I'm from Speedway, Indiana, and I'm currently a sophomore at Wabash College. Today, I want to talk to you about the Iowa general election for 2020. So, specifically, I want to talk to you about the race that is going on between the Democratic nominee Joe Biden and the Republican nominee Donald Trump, and how they are both faring in the state of Iowa specifically. I'm not going to be making any comments on the national race, but specifically where the electoral votes from Iowa are going to go this presidential election. Let's get started. We're going to be talking about the polls, numbers, and predictions, by the way. So I wanted to start off by talking about why it's a race to watch. Iowa is, first off the bat, Iowa is one of the few states that still determine their delegates by caucusing, how the delegates will go to the national convention or which delegates will go to the national convention, and they decide by caucusing. And they're also the first to do that during the election cycle. So you'll often see Iowa in headlines and their system. Why this is also so interesting is Iowa is a historically red state. They have often voted Republican, and for 100 years before 1988, that was pretty much always the case. They pretty much always voted Republican before 1988. Very seldom did they vote Democrat. But what we are seeing with the COVID-19 pandemic is actually hurting Donald Trump's numbers or the Republican Party's numbers, and we may actually see the Hawkeye state swing from red to blue. And right now it is a true toss-up, and that is why this is such an interesting race to watch. So next I want to move on to the actual polling, right? So we've been looking at the numbers and polls and predictions for a month now, and we've been looking at all the best and most reputable sources. So we're talking Emerson College, Quinnipiac University, Siena College, and the New York Times. And while they often go back and forth, sometimes showing Joe Biden in the lead, sometimes showing Donald Trump, well, to be clear, starting in March, Donald Trump held a pretty tight or pretty heavy lead on Biden, and that was in March. And as the months went on into the pandemic, we started to see their numbers kind of get closer and closer together into what became a very tight race. And now they are kind of going back and forth, is what we're seeing, into what is amounting to a toss-up. Last I checked, Joe Biden had Donald Trump by a little bit. But I'm not quite sure that is going to be the definitive take. So that's the polling that has happened for this race so far. And next, I kind of want to amp up for my prediction. So, in my very non-professional opinion, when it comes to the race between the Republican incumbent Donald Trump and his running mate Mike Pence, and their race against the Democratic challenger Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris, um, if I had to predict who is going to win the presidential election, or should I say the electoral votes from Iowa specifically in 2020, if I had to make that call, I would give it to Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump, the Republican Party, the GOP, I think they are probably going to still win in 2020. When we look back at the historically and the numbers over these past few months, it is pointing towards a Donald Trump sequel victory from 2016. And that's it. I want to thank you guys for watching and make sure to go vote.